Transporter 3 is a 2008 French action thriller film, and the third installment in the Transporter franchise. Both Jason Statham and François Berléand reprised their roles as Frank Martin and Tarcone, respectively. This is the first film in the series to be directed by Olivier Megaton. The film continues the story of Frank Martin, a professional transporter, who has returned to France to continue his low-key business of delivering packages without questions. The story continues after the film in Transporter, the series. Plot: a ship arrives, carrying toxic chemicals that have killed 2 of its crew members. Frank Martin and Inspector Tarcone fish in the Marseille when Tarcone receives a call about a black Audi A8 that has sped past French customs and evaded the police in a car chase. While Tarcone returns to headquarters to give Frank's alibi, in Odessa, Ukraine, the environmental agency minister receives a threat from EcoCorp boss Johnson to reopen business negotiations. At night, the Audi crashes into Frank's home, with a wounded transporter, Malcolm Melville, whom Frank had referred when he declined a previous job. As paramedics take away Malcolm, Frank discovers a woman in the back seat of the Audi who warns him not to take her from the car. She shows him a metal bracelet she and Malcolm have been wearing. Frank rushes outside, but the ambulance explodes, killing Malcolm. Frank is then knocked out by one of Johnson's henchmen. Johnson places an explosive bracelet on Frank, forcing him to take a package and the woman, Valentina, to Budapest. Tomilenko negotiates to postpone signing EcoCorp's agreement that would allow the ship with the chemicals into his country. While Tarcone researches into Johnson's motivations, Frank goes off course, visiting a garage to try to deal with the bracelet. But as he fends off Johnson's men, his mechanic friend Otto cannot disarm the device on the car. At Budapest, Johnson tells Frank that he's fired. One of Johnson's men steals the Audi, leaving Frank to chase him down. After Frank and Johnson agree to call it even, Johnson sends him to Bucharest. But Frank and Valentina are chased by a black Mercedes-Benz E-Class driven by Tomilenko's agents. After opening the package in the trunk, Frank realizes Valentina is the real package. She then seduces Frank by holding his car keys. Valentina, who is revealed to be Tomilenko's daughter, explains that she was drugged in Ibiza and was transported by Malcolm in order for Johnson to blackmail her father. Johnson redirects him to Odessa, where he and his men surround them on a bridge. Although Valentina is delivered to Johnson and her bracelet removed, Johnson's men shoot at Frank's car. Frank drives off the bridge into the lake, fooling Johnson into believing that he is dead whilst surviving by using the air from the car's tires to inflate a buoying device. Aboard the train, Johnson lets Tomilenko talk to Valentina and gives him 15 minutes to sign the contract. After Tarcone and the Ukrainian police retrieve Frank in the Audi, Frank continues his chase and jumps the car on top of the train containing Johnson and his men. He takes out all of Johnson's men but cannot touch Johnson because he is too far from his car. After Johnson separates the train cabs, Frank jumps his car into the cab, and beats Johnson, strapping him with the bracelet, and sending his car into reverse, resulting in Johnson being blown into pieces. Upon hearing from Tarcone that Valentina is safe, Tomilenko tears up the EcoCorp contracts before heading for his business conference. The cargo ship is raided by police and sent away from Ukrainian shores. Frank and Tarcone return to fishing in Marseille, but Valentina suggests they eat out instead. Cast: Jason Statham as Frank Martin, known as the Transporter, Natalia Rudakova as Valentina, François Berléand as Inspector Tarcone, Robert Nepper as Johnson, Jeroen Krabbe as Leonid Tomilenko, Alex Kolbold as Leonid Essade, David Attribution as Malcolm Manville, Jan Sundberg as Flag, Eric Ibuani as Ice, David Kamens as Driver Market, Silvio Simac as Mighty Joe, Oscar Elia as Thug Driver, Timodirkus as Otto, Igor Kumpin as Ukrainian cop, Paul Barrett as captain, Elif Zak as mate, Katia Tichenko as Leonid's secretary, Mitchell Newgarten as assassin driver, Sergei Feridel-Quadi as Yuri, Semi Schilt as the giant. Production. Natalia Rudakova was spotted by Luc Besson on the street as she hurried to her job at a New York City hair salon. He paid for 25 acting lessons over a 6-month period in Paris before she received the role. Roger Ebert noted the rarity of leading ladies who are heavily freckled. Shooting was initially expected to last for 16 weeks in France. It was also filmed in Odessa, Ukraine. Home media. Transporter 3 was released on DVD and Blu-ray disc on March 10, 2009 in the United States. 1,108,030 units were sold, bringing in $19,707,976 in revenue. Box office and reception. Transporter 3 was released by Lionsgate in the United States. On its opening weekend, the film opened at number 7 with $12 million. As of the 11th of September 2009, update, the film has grossed $31.7 million in the United States and in Canada and $74.6 million in other countries, with a total gross of $106,288,215 worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film in the Transporter trilogy. The film has received mixed reviews. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has a freshness score of 37% based on reviews from 110 critics and reports a rating average of 4.8 out of 10, with the reported consensus. This middling installment in the Transporter franchise is a few steps down from its predecessors, featuring generic stunts and a lack of energy. At Metacritic, which assigns a weighted average score out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, the film received an average score of 51 based on 26 reviews, indicating mixed or average reviews.